This era of the Mike Yanek show is over, and the new one is going to begin very, very soon. Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mike Yanek show, episode 99, the last episode of the Mike Yanek show in this format. Okay? Don't worry, don't cry. I am not breaking your hearts. I ain't going nowhere. This show is never gonna end, okay? I have too much free time on my hands, okay? And my girlfriend works 9 to 5. So I'm free throughout the day. So I'm here shouting into the void. But very soon, ladies and gentlemen, things are going to change completely. Because as of maybe a week ago or 10 days ago, I had a meeting with a professional podcast studio. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, from January, maybe mid-January or the end, I'm not sure. Follow me on my social media at mikeyanek, and you will see all the posts and all the dates and the future people that are going to be on the podcast. You're going to see everything there. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I was like, you know what? It's 2022, all right? And I was like, I'm approaching episode 100. And I was like, what can I do for episode 100 to celebrate? You know, not many podcasts have survived so many episodes. And I was like, the best thing to do is to destroy the podcast and start from scratch, okay? But instead of, finishing off this podcast and doing a new name and a new logo and all that gimmick, I was like, you know what, let's just continue so we can have archived the history of the beginning. And this is what I'm going to talk about this podcast. I'm going to wrap up the last 2 years, and I'm going to tell you the future, which I'm very excited about. I'm going to tell you about the new show, the new format of the show, and a few other ideas that I have. And maybe if I have time, I'll tell you how I'm going to be smashing Christmas this year. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm out there shopping and stuff, and this will come out maybe like a week before Christmas or something like that. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the thing about life, Sometimes you have to change things up, And I was like, I enjoy it, you know what I mean? Being by myself over here screaming into the void without nobody controlling me, So sometimes I say some wacky, crazy shit. And with my short-term memory, which is almost non-existing, I don't remember what I've said when I turn off the camera, and I don't do much editing, let's be honest. I just synchronize the audio and the video, I just do a bit of color correction and a bit of exposure, so my face can look even greasier, and I just export and I upload to the internet. And if somebody sees it, that's it. But I was like, you know what, it's time, let's take it to the next level, bro, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not building a following. I don't have a following yet. But, I'm getting out there. I'm getting my name out there. I gig quite often, people enjoy my stuff. And I was like, we need to make a change. So what I did was, a few weeks ago, I had an epiphany. You know what I'm saying? I was like, how can I take this to the next level? And one of my comedy mates, and that's why it's so good to have connections, because they can introduce you to other people. And he introduced me to a guy who owns a podcast studio in Liverpool, city center, right? Yeah, roughly in the city center. And I was like, because I found him on Instagram, and I was like, oh, this looks very nice. It looks very professional. They have all the camera angles, 4K, the quality. It's like 3-4 different angles. They have everything, you know what I'm saying? Lights and nice furniture. There's a dehumidifier in the background. I have one. It's just tiny dehumidifier. They have a, warehouse size dehumidifier. And I was like, that looks very professional, They have plants. They look real. You know what I'm saying? Where I come from, we don't have real plants, bro. Everything's fake. You know what I'm saying? Because real plant die and then you need to buy another one. No, what you think I'm made out of money here? So I saw the guy. This was maybe a month ago or something. And, he said how much he charges, and I was like, that's a bit too much for me, because he offers everything: color correction, audio, stuff, and clips for social media, and those 1-minute real clips, and he offers so much stuff, But I was like, I just need the footage and the audio, I can do the rest, because I kind of learned how to do a bit of basic editing, And he was like, and I was like, have you ever thought maybe to do half price, just for people who just want the audio and the video? Because some people just want audio podcast, other people just have a conversational podcast that doesn't need that much editing, or some people just want one angle, or if some people are doing a solo podcast like me, you need only one camera, Have you ever thought of that? I just give him, like little advice and stuff, some ideas. And he came back maybe like a week later. He texted me. He was like, that was a very good idea. I have a bunch of more new clients now who are interested in this service because some people, they want only audio or whatever. He was like, thank you for that idea. Do you want, I'm giving you this offer now. And the price was much more reasonable, right? And I was like, oh, that is a good price. Let me think about it and I'll let you know in a few weeks. So I sat down, I looked at all my options, what I have out there. If I can continue doing the podcast in my house, it's okay, but I cannot have guests in my house. And also, I live in a shared house, so when I scream and I go crazy on my little rants and stuff, I cannot go full madness. You know what I'm saying? From next year, you're gonna experience the complete mayhem. Now you're getting a little tone light version. You know what I'm saying? Because, people around me, they keep banging on the doors and stuff like, Mike, shut the fuck up. What are you doing? I try to record the podcast at like 1 o'clock during the week or something when there's nobody in the house. But still, neighbors complain and all that stuff. And I talk crazy shit, in broken English. Who is this guy? They're going to come knock on the door. Like, who is this guy? You know what I'm saying? Talking about lizard people and conspiracies, shouting in broken English, saying that the queen is a lizard. What's happening here, Saying weird childhood stories from back in the day, So anyway, and I was like, and I'm I don't have, if you only see me on stage or like this podcast, you think that I'm a crazy egomaniac because that's just my sense of humor, just hyperbole. That's it. You know what I'm saying? If it's like me, I play in the NBA, I score like 40 points a game. What are you talking about? LeBron James, he's afraid of me, right? Like, this is my type of humor. Obviously, I'm 5'4", bro. I ain't going to the NBA anytime soon, unless everybody's on strike or something, like they had back in the day, the Hollywood Writers Association or something like that. They went on a strike, I remember, and half of the shows didn't get produced or something, right? And then other people stepped in to write the scripts for movies and sitcoms and TV shows, right? Unless the NBA goes like, we're going on a strike, and then they call me, they get me, Manny Pacquiao, and Kevin Hart, Everybody's like under 5'5", and we are there playing Celebrity League. You know what I'm saying? Unless they do that, I don't think they're gonna call me anytime soon. So that is my type of humor, right? But the thing is, when I'm hanging out with mates and comedians and stuff, I bounce off people. Or even after I meet people after a gig, I bounce off with people much more, and it's more funny. I don't know why. I'm just that way. Maybe I get energized by other people around me, And I was thinking like this, and it needs to change. You know what I mean? It's like if you have a business and if it's not going well, you can have an ego and be like, well, they don't know what they're missing. I'm the best businessman. This is the greatest business. Fuck everybody else. I don't need nobody, right? But if you're a rational person that wants to be good at business and he wants to progress with that business and develop it, well, you have to sit down and realistically look where things are going, okay? And listen, I really enjoy this podcast, but getting 4 views an episode, you know what I'm saying? One of which is probably clicked by me or my missus or my mom or something in Bulgaria. It's not realistic thing to do, you know what I mean? Thankfully, I've invested very little money, and you can tell by the quality of this podcast, but, microphone was around, I think, 40 quid, cameras are around 70, and I have the lights. I got them on home bargain for like 15 quid for, was it 8 quid each or something, like super cheap. So I've paid 150 and 200 quid or something. I haven't invested shitloads of money, and everything else is free. Hosting is like 60 quid a year or something like that. But that's about it, I haven't invested like millions and millions of pounds, thankfully, But I was thinking like, okay, so it's not going. And listen, it's fair enough. It's difficult if you're a comedian with no following to grow a podcast. It's quite difficult, Usually you get the following and then you do the podcast, right? But I was like, I want to do this because I want to learn how to talk into a microphone, how to perform and talk in front of a camera, not to get shy and all that stuff. And I've done this now for almost 2 years, right? I've done almost 100 episodes. I feel very comfortable and I feel very, very relaxed and natural in front of the camera, which sometimes can take years to learn. Not everybody is comfortable in front of it. So I was thinking like, okay, this is not going well. Let's see how we can change things up. And I was thinking like, if I start a new show, if I change a new logo, maybe have a different intro, whatever. I was like, it's not, it because it's only me, you know what I mean? And I need somebody else to bounce off, and maybe I need a guest or maybe a co-host or something like that, right? And then I was looking into the option of co-hosting. I'll be like, okay, I'll get another comedian. We're gonna start our own podcast. But the problem is that with these podcasts, they're quite risky because it's now you have two schedules you have to worry about, not one. Because when I'm doing this from home, I'm super flexible. Like, for instance, this podcast is going out, this is recorded the day before. I usually record them weeks in advance, but I was just busy, like work and stuff. I'm super flexible. But I was like, that's difficult with the co-host. And what if they drop out? Because I know a few podcasts, they're like comedians that they started, but then they dropped out because for whatever reasons, they got into an argument or something, or this or the other guy was gigging too much and he didn't have the time, or he lost interest. And then all of a sudden you might put, it's like a relationship, innit? Like, you put so much effort, and then one day the guy shows up and he's like 9 months, 10 months, and he was like, bro, I don't want to do this anymore. Even if the podcast is growing, because everybody's different. And then if he disappears, then it's quite difficult to replace him or stop the show or something. And I was like, I don't want to go that route, right? But I do need a person in the room to bounce off with. So I sat down actually. My background is business and marketing, so I sat down and I actually created a business plan, for the future podcast, right? It's going to be called still the Mike Yanek Show, but it's just going to be season 3, pretty much, because you have season 1 in 2020, season 2 in 2021, and season 3 in 2022. It's roughly 50 episodes per season, per year, right? Even though we're going to finish this year on 99, because I want episode 100 to be the new podcast. And I was thinking, should I do maybe episode 100 here? But I was like, nah, fuck it, let's do 100. We'll have a guest. I talked to the guy, a lineup, a fucking fantastic comedian for you guys to see. He's a very good friend of mine, and he's so fucking funny. So I'm pretty sure you love him. And let's start it off completely different, you know what I'm saying, and something new. So I sat down, I write everything. I write what the podcast wants to be, what is the objective of it, what is the bullet points. Then I wrote the guest list, some of the people that I have in mind. Then I wrote questions I have for the actual producer, because he owns the studio, but he is in the studio and produces, you know what I'm saying. So he's not like one of those where he just, I don't know, just owns the business and he's not there. No, he's a audio engineer by profession, so it's very professional guy. This place is crazy, bro. You know what I'm saying? When we start doing it, I'll show you. Maybe I'll even do like a little tour of the studio. I'm going to post it on social media and stuff. And I was like, let's make this proper. So I asked him a few questions. What can we get? What is available? How to book the studio, because I've never worked with a studio like that before. How does it work, right? And then I sat down and wrote, what else was there? Like some of the ideas, some of the segments, the structure of the podcast, how is it going to be presented, and all that stuff, right? So I'm going to give you as much information as possible without ruining or spoiling too much of the the future of the show if you're watching this, right? So it's pretty much still going to be half an hour. It's going to be a half an hour show, okay? And every week I will not have guests. They will be presented as co-hosts. So each week is going to be a different co-host. Because if it is a co-host, I don't have the pressure or the expectation of interviewing somebody, because I don't want to interview nobody. I'll be honest with you, not at this show. I have some other ideas in the future that I might do an interview show. It depends how much we grow, and depends how, like when we open Patreon, all that stuff for, exclusive content. It depends how much that will grow. And if I have the finances, to rent out the studio for more, then I'll do some other shows. I have ideas for 2 more shows, right? We're gonna do the Mike Yanek Network. Mikey Flex. Let's go. Depends on you. If you support me and if you like the shit, we can do the shows. So, when it's a co-host, we can just chill, and then we kind of have the equal amount of power/responsibilities in the show. Because if it's a guest, then it's heavily on me to stir the conversation, to ask the questions, and just let the guest, speak. Because sometimes, depending on the guest and depending how it goes, sometimes maybe they will do most of the speaking. I'll just leave them because they have a story, for instance, or like they have a funny take on something. But on the other side, maybe I will do most of the talking, depending on the guest, because I do have some people in mind, you know, they're very close friends of mine and I really like them, but they're maybe a bit more, I wouldn't say shy, but they are not as crazy and wild and loud as me. You know what I mean? They're very funny, but maybe they're just like a bit more toned down, So maybe sometimes I'll have to step in and take over, and so on and so on, And I think that's very reasonable, and I think that will work for a personality like mine, which is very pro wrestling slash drag queen slash gangster rapper from the 90s. It's just all out there, you know what I mean? I'm crazy, I'm flashy, I'm loud, hopefully funny, I think I'm funny, but I don't know. So, and I think that will do great, I think that will work. We have a few segments as well, which are very silly. The segments are so stupid and so silly, I think you really enjoy them. And because, it's me, bro. You know me. If you follow me and if you've seen my stand-up, I'm not a serious guy. I like just to goof about and have fun, right? I need to find somebody maybe on People Per Hour. I will need some video intros, maybe like 6-7 seconds for each segment to be like very professional. It's going to be work in progress, obviously, the new show. So you're not, from the first episode that you get, you're not going to get everything. You're not going to get all the transitions. You know what I mean? Like, we're working at it. Like, we're going to be doing some stuff and updating it slowly and surely. And that's the fun of it, just growing it. Because if you get a finished product from the beginning, there's no way to go up. You know what I mean? Because there is a certain amount that you can go up, with the production of it. And then you're like, okay, so that's it, and that's the fun part about this show. Because if you go back to the first episode, it was just audio with a screenshot or a picture of the name of the title and stuff, and then after about 20-25 episodes, 30 episodes, something like that, I started doing video from my phone. Then I bought this little camera and I was filming it over there at my desk from the side. I was like super far away, and there was like the sun and stuff coming in. And then it fucking took me 50 episodes to figure out that, like, oh, maybe I should not do it like that, And then I bought this table. And then the second season, I started doing this. And even the beginning, there was I have a towel on. Because of course I do, bro. Purple towel. I have a towel on. I didn't have the towel. You know what I mean? Like, I had all these little stuff that you kept building slowly. And that's the fun part of it, isn't it? Like everything else, like a relationship, like a business, like a friendship. It just takes time to grow and to build, And I'm very enjoying it. I don't feel like resentful or like that I lost my time doing this podcast, even though it didn't get the viewership that I hoped for. But that's fine, because like I said, you learn a skill. And that made me such a much more better at comedy, performing live. Because when I'm doing this, I learn how to speak. I learn how to follow a thought. I learn how to go out, just branch off to an idea that just came to my head, talk about it for like 3 minutes, and then come back to the stuff that I was talking about. Not always. Sometimes I forget, man. My memory is shit, but what can you do? And also, when I have, like, you develop a ranting skill, an improvise skill. So when I'm on stage, I kind of noticed maybe I was like, since I started recording it here, and since they reopened us and we started doing gigs, and sometimes if I'm doing improv or if somebody heckles me and I go on a tangent and just start screaming at them and stuff, and it feels like I'm on the podcast, so I kind of like piece up the stuff together very quickly, and it's because of this, because you build a reflex and you build a muscle and you do that type of stuff, So I'm very happy. I'm very happy with it, because it made me so much more comfortable in front of the camera. It made me so much comfortable just speaking out loud for half an hour, whatever it is, Because when I first started, I remember I wanted to record a podcast, and I was like, I need to try it out. I've never actually spoken into a microphone before, like for an hour or whatever. So I just recorded maybe 20 minutes on my phone, and I remember I was trembling. I was just so nervous, And even when you hear the first few episodes, it's kind of like I didn't know what I was doing and stuff. Not that I know now, but it's a bit better. Now it's a lot of improvement since the first. There was some rough episodes. Let's just put it that way, the Mike Yanek show. Jesus Christ, bro. And it's good. You learn new skills, so it's always helpful, and you have an experience, and you get to do something that you enjoy. So the single days of this format are probably over, most likely, right? The only option is, I was thinking, after we open the Patreon, we have to grow it. We have to get a few hundred subscribers first, and we have to have at least some steady viewership. Even if it's like 50, 60 views per episode, but at least we need to get something stable, and then we can be like, oh, okay, now we can go forward and all that stuff. So I was thinking maybe to do like these little rants. Like I've posted 2 or 3 like a 1 minute rant on Instagram, Reel, and social media. People seem to like them. I get some viewership and I get some comments on them. So maybe I was thinking if I buy a better camera, because this camera is shit, and just record maybe once a month or something. Just record like a single show, but just rants on a topic that people give me, or they want me to. What's your opinion on so and so? Have you seen this product? Review this, review that, right? And then just record like half an hour, 40 minutes, and just chop it up to like few clips, for the next few months. Maybe I can do something like that, but it's not going to be like the podcast and stuff. Now, the other thing is, I'm going to give you a bit of a heads up. I will definitely talk about it more when we start doing the podcast. So the studio is, you have an online form where you can book the day and the time that you want to use the studio, right? But the thing is, you have to. So when you book it, you pay at the moment. At the moment of booking, you pay, right? Which is completely fine. And they have a cancellation fee, right? So if you cancel more than 24 hours before your time slot, it's how was it? I think you don't have to pay the cancellation fee. I'm not sure, but what I'm trying to say is, like, if the guest pulls out and if I don't have a replacement, I have to pay the cancellation fee or go and use the studio, right? And the cancellation fee is 25%. So I was thinking, like, if I already have the studio booked, I will probably just go and use it anyway. I'm just going to record, because it's a 1 hour session, right? So we're going to record 2 episodes. And I'm going to record 2 episodes. Maybe you put them on the Patreon. It really depends, you know what I mean? Just put them as bonus content or whatever, right? So maybe you will see some more single episodes, but they're going to be in the studio. They're going to be way better quality, few more angles. Because I will be saved so much time. The only time, is the travel, but I don't have to sit down and edit the podcast and set up the studio and do all that extra work, because everything is done for me. I get the ready file. That means I can sit down and edit more. I can put my little spins on it and put my little, like transitions and little funny music and screenshots or whatever the hell, and make it more funny, right? So it can be more edited, which is quite good. So yeah. Always checking. Constant professional. You know what I'm saying? Always checking. So I line up a few people for you. Because the podcast is going to be, I was thinking, should I do it like because at the beginning, I'll tell you my plan, right? So at the beginning, I was thinking to do, so it's going to be half an hour, so I can save a bit of money, right? Because at this moment, I'm not making any money from the podcast, so I need to save as much as possible. So one session, I'm going to do 2 half-an-hour shows, right? So I was thinking at first, maybe I can do one session, which is 2 episodes, just single, like this, me in the studio, and then do a guest, which is going to be an hour guest, and just interview them, just interview style podcast with comedians, and then, just say solo guest, and this is how it's going to be 4 episodes in a month, right? But then I was thinking, like, should I maybe, like, I don't know, I don't really feel comfortable interviewing people, even though I think I'll do a good job. But, like, I don't know, man. It's weird. Interviewing is a weird thing. And the other thing is, like, most of the people on the podcast, at least at the beginning, they're going to be comedians, right? Because these are the people that I have access to. These are the people that I can text, people that I know, that I hang out with, that will most likely want to do the show. They'll be okay with it, right? And also, I'm not at the stage where I can interview an astrophysicist or whatever the hell, you know what I mean? That's a difficult thing to do. But I was like, I don't really want to interview people. So then I was thinking, like, how I can mix and match and all that stuff. And I was thinking, like, why not, like I said, have them as a co-host. Don't have them as a guest, right? Have them as a co-host, and then again, I'll do 2 sessions a month in that studio, and that's covered me for 4 weeks. And I mean, I will be probably recording every week there, and you just stockpiling episodes pretty much in advance. And one day when we open the Patreon, I can just have a bunch of extra content for the Patreon there, um, but I think that's way better because, like, hold on, I started thinking about it. I just got an idea for like a little vlog, not like a little series for the Patreon, and I got distracted for a second. Um, because the objective of the podcast is going to be just make it as funny as possible. It's just a silly podcast. We don't want to talk about sad stuff. We don't want to talk about murder mysteries or reviewing whatever the hell, like, I don't know, talking about the news or politics. It's not a religious podcast, even though we might have a segment about preachers or something. Praise the Lord, baby Jesus. Can I get a hallelujah? You know what I'm saying? That type of stuff. We will probably can I get a amen? The power of Christ compels you. So we might do stuff like that, but it's going to be a silly podcast, and most of the guests are comedians. So I was like, well, I don't want to sit there and be like, oh, what's your future and artistic endeavors in the next 5 years? You know what I mean? I don't want to do that shit. Fuck that. So yeah, we're gonna have them as co-hosts, and I'm super excited, bro. I'm so pumped. And I was talking with my missus, and I was like, I don't know if I should do this because it is a lot of money and all that stuff. This is before he had the budget version, right? The full version. And then I told her about the budget version a few weeks later. And I was like, I don't know, because, I don't make any money of the podcast. I don't know if people like it. I don't know if people will watch it. But I'm like so pumped. Even just thinking about it, I get so excited, And she was like, if this is going to bring you happiness, and if this is going to like be positive for your mental health and all that stuff, and if it's something you look forward to, yeah, spend, because it's going to be at the beginning £100 a month, pretty much, right? And be like, yeah, spend that £100 a month, like it's. And I was like, yeah, and that's how I made the decision. I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put myself out there, something that I usually don't do. Believe it or not, you probably think, oh, this fucking guy has all the confidence in the world. Probably he's out there smashing it. And I don't usually put myself out there. I'm a bit shy, and, I don't really like to get rejected. But, it happens. What can you do? I'm going to contact some comedians that are way, way, way above me in the hierarchy of the comedy circuit. Way funnier. They're all professional comedians. But, fuck it, bro. You know what I'm saying? They've MC'd, let's say, one time that I was at an open mic or something, and I know them. Like, hi. No, I don't give a fuck, bro. I'm gonna text them and be like, hey, listen, mate, have a podcast. It would be great if you want to come on, like, are you interested? Pretty much that's what I'm gonna say. If they say no, it's fair enough. I'll try them again in a few, maybe like a year, if I build up the podcast. Because, if they go to my social media and they see that I have like 70 subscribers and I have like 4 views or something, they'll be like, that's not worth it for me, which I completely understand, But I'm gonna put myself out there. This is the new Mikey Boy 2022. I always do goals at the end of the year, and this is gonna be one of the goals. Just gotta put yourself out there, and whatever happens. If they say no, they say no. But if I can manage to get them to come on the podcast, especially if you follow British comedy circuit here in the Northwest, super specific, you'll be very pleasantly surprised. You'll be like, oh, damn, man, I love this guy or this girl or whatever, Hell yeah, bro. Let's fucking go. This is the final seconds of the 2021 Mike Yanek show. We're closing this chapter. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what's going to happen, right? I don't even know if anybody's listening this deep into the podcast. Doesn't matter. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm super excited. And if they don't close us up, knock on wood, my wooden head, knock on wood, if they don't close us up and if everything is open, we're going to have a lot of fun in 2022. And let's see what happens. And listen, if you've been a subscriber and if you've been listening to the show from the beginning and all that stuff, and if you're enjoying it, thank you so much. I'm very, very happy. Even though we're not that many at the moment, we're strong and vigorous people. And one day, listen, when we go big, when we blow up, you can say, bro, I was there from the beginning, bro, when he was screaming in his little attic room. You know what I'm saying? And in front of all the fucking kid stuff. And look at that, all these toys I have. I'm a grown man with toys, right? And he had a table and he had a purple sheet on it. What is it? Bath towel or something, right? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I will see you in 2022. This is the plan. We're closing off this chapter of the Mike Yanek Show. I will see you maybe middle, late January. Follow my social media and you'll see everything there. I love you so much. You're the best. Enjoy the rest of your year. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. Bye.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun,